This episode of Experiences You Should Have is brought to you by Soul Blends, handcrafted in Oregon from botanicals to bottle, multiple healing balms, salves, and moisturizing products to bring life to your skin. Check out Soul Blends and use the code EYSH to receive 10% off your order.
Slept on the beach, woke up on the beach, and just me and my sleeping bag, and on the beach, and woke up and went, it's my birthday. I have 3 miles left, and I'm done. And I just woke up on the beach.
Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I'm your host, Gail Manasco. And today we are going on a hike through Florida. That is right. We are talking about the Florida Trail, Florida's Thru-Hike. Many times people think about the PCT or the Appalachian Trail when it comes to through hiking, but there's some amazing through hikes out there, like the Te Araroa, the through hike through New Zealand that we have an episode on. Go check it out. We also have an episode on the Appalachian Trail, and we'll have one coming out soon on the PCT. However, I love getting on those off the beaten path, amazing experiences. And today I'll be talking with a friend, Erin Frankie. Now, Erin is she's rad. Erin is just a rad woman. She's amazing. I met her in the skydiving community years ago. And she's a freelance marketing and event planning nerd in Orlando, Florida. She specializes in the skydiving industry. Being location independent allows her to focus on travel and hiking first, and then fit in work projects in the spare time around those hobbies. So she's been long distance hiking for 3 years with about 3,600 miles on her feet so far, with many more to come. Whatever you do, don't follow her on TikTok unless you have a hankering for Gen X cringe-worthy silliness. So you can find her on Hiking Mickey. But let's dive in and hear about the incredible Florida Trail and hiking up Florida and then across Florida. First off, it's really exciting to see your face. I just haven't even gotten to express that. It's just so.
I know. We've been like, is the microphone working? All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, how are you? How are you
doing? It's been forever. It's been like a decade.
Yeah, literally. I think about a decade since I've seen you. So
yeah, I moved to Oregon and kind of went underground here. I'm literally underground right now. I'm in my basement, but we're talking about the Florida hike, which I did not know this hike existed until I saw your social media posts. What year was this that you did this?
I did this in 2019.
2019.
So just 2 years ago. And yeah, it was one of those hikes that I had originally gotten into long distance hiking in order to do the Florida Trail. That was like my goal, since it's in my backyard pretty much. But then timing, when I started in 2018, I did the Appalachian Trail, and timing just worked out that the Appalachian Trail was a bit better fit for me for that year.
Yeah.
And then, when I got to do the whole Florida Trail in 2019, that was awesome. That was like, okay, huge goal, check, done.
Wow.
So,
man, look at you, through hiker, Appalachian Trail, PCT. Florida Trail. Yeah, you're a badass.
But I was never, I've never been like thought of myself as badass type. I'm
Oh,
more
wait,
of
are
like
you
a,
kidding me? I met you in the skydiving community and you didn't think of yourself as a
yeah,
badass?
I know, but I was always a lazy skydiver. I didn't jump much. I was more of like a sit around and have a rum and coke and heckle people type of person.
Yeah, and then
So,
you would randomly hop on a plane and jump out of it. You're still
right.
qualifies as a badass. You don't have to be the most decorated
Yeah.
skydiver to be a badass. So I'm just saying.
And and then when I got into hiking and realized I really, really loved it, I was like, oh, look at me doing something badass. This is kind of cool.
Hey, what
I've got a
what?
thing now.
No, this is cool. So the Florida hike, I
Mhm.
mean, how did you first learn about the Florida hike?
Think YouTube or something like that. I was watching some videos about some little local hikes, and then I learned about the concept of through hiking. Where you do an entire trail end to end in one go, basically.
Uh-huh.
And once I was like, oh, that's a neat concept to just completely 100% like live out in the woods, and there's no setting up camp and this is where I'm going to stay for a few days while I'm camping. It's more, okay, this is where I'm just sleeping tonight, and then I have to go to the next point and then to the next point. You're constantly going in one direction. it's
Mm-hmm.
a it's a completely different mindset than normal camping or normal weekend or several day hike. uh, it's a different mindset. It's a different goals, different things you have to think about. And but yeah, when I got started and watching, a couple of YouTube videos and some popular YouTube hikers out there, I just found it fascinating. I was just like, this looks so cool. There's so much research and things to learn, and there's just so much to it that, but all fun stuff. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to go like do some crazy course or get trained or anything. Nah, just learn some tips and tricks on YouTube and then just figure out as you go along.
I love it. It takes courage. That takes courage.
It does. It's a mental game. And yeah, we were just talking, saying that, about out on the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. I got to Oregon and I hit a mental wall. I couldn't go any farther. I was like, I need a break. I need something. Like my mental ability right now is just blah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
But I think that happened for a reason,
yeah,
because you came and you helped a friend in need
yeah,
into land.
then I had oodles of time on my hands after I stopped. I had planned to be, out there for a couple more months. And when I got back home and somebody needed help, I was like, well, I've got all the time in the world.
Right.
My
Right.
schedule is blocked and set aside. So let's do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
life's funny that way,
it is. It is.
Yeah. So the Florida Trail, where does it start and where does it end and
Yeah.
how long is it?
So with any trail, you can start at one end or the other. But I started at the south, at the southern terminus, we call it, and that starts down in the Everglades at Big Cypress National Preserve.
Mm-hmm.
And it just starts at one of the little visitor centers that are in Big Cypress. So you start in the Everglades and you start walking north. You go all the way to the top of Florida. And when you get to the top of Florida, that's only the halfway point, because then you have to go all the way west to pretty much the Alabama border and Pensacola.
Wow. Okay, so I'm looking at the map. This will be on the show notes on
Yeah.
experiencesyousshouldhave.com. Oh, wow. Because you would think when you make it to the top that you're
I made it the whole top to bottom of Florida. Like, hey,
right.
you're halfway.
But Florida has a panhandle and it's pretty
Yep,
long.
yep, yep.
So what would you say is the halfway point? What is that?
It's right around Lake City, Live Oak, that kind
Okay.
of area. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's literally at the top of Florida is the halfway point.
So let's give our listeners just a comparison. How
Mhm.
long would one budget to hike the Appalachian Trail or PCT versus how long did you budget to hike the Florida
Right.
Trail?
So, Appalachian Trail is probably one of the most famous ones. Same with the Pacific Crest Trail, but the Appalachian Trail is about 2,200 miles long, and the Florida Trail is 1,100 miles long. So, Florida, the one state, is about half the length of the entire Appalachian Trail. I know,
Wow.
but it's tough to wrap your brain around how huge Florida is. It's just really long and skinny.
Mhm.
So yeah, Florida Trail is about a little over 1,100 miles long,
Mhm.
and the Appalachian Trail is 2,200.
Mhm.
So most people say Appalachian Trail takes 5 to 6 months, and Florida Trail is about 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Wow. So we did an Appalachian Trail episode on experiences you should have with
Uh-huh.
Jay
Yeah.
Moletsky.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned about how insane the Appalachian Trail is that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going up, straight up every single peak and going straight down and going straight up a peak and straight down.
Exactly. And me and Jay, we've had quite a few conversations because he had done the Appalachian Trail before I did. So it was, fantastic to be able to get some tips and tricks and hints from him. And he warned me about a few things and, gave me some gear recommendations. So that was good. Yeah, the Appalachian Trail is different in that a lot of straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down. It takes a toll on your body. With the
Mhm.
Florida Trail, yeah, there's obviously no mountains, no elevation gain or anything like that. But we have a lot of walking in water. A lot of times you'll be ankle deep in swamp water. Or we have a lot more road walking as well than the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail has been around for a long time, and it's a very solidified trail. It's got towns, it's got businesses that popped up around it to take care of it. It's almost completely 100%, connected in the woods. It's an actual trail.
Mhm.
Whereas the Florida Trail is a lot newer, and so yeah, a lot of it is through national and state parks and actually in the woods and in the swamps and everything. But there are quite a few gaps where you have to take a road to get from one section to the next one.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's some easy things about Florida Trail. No elevation gain, which is nice.
Right.
But the hard parts are, walking through water, walking through mud, doing some road walks. Those are really hard on the feet and ankles. Um, so it has its challenges. Oh, and logistics. Oh man, Appalachian Trail, you're going through towns and they know you're a hiker. Like they're used to it. Florida Trail, you're passing through a gas station and people are looking at you like, what are you doing out here, girl?
You could be the
So,
next Florida woman.
right, right. So logistics are way harder on the Florida Trail. Sometimes you're just like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. I'm gonna figure it out.
So, take me to the beginning of the trail. Was
Mhm.
anybody with you? What was your mindset? How were you
Um,
feeling?
I had originally planned to start with a friend of mine, and he could only join me for like a week. But he wanted to do a little week trip. Cool. But then literally that morning he got emergency called into work, And he's like, okay, are you gonna be all right? I'm like, I'm fine. I've done this before. I've spent months in the woods by myself before. I'll be fine for a few days.
Yeah.
And so I started at the beginning by myself, which was great. It was a beautiful section. Um, but also the first couple, like the first 30 miles of the Florida Trail are the hardest part of the Florida Trail because of going through the Everglades, and it's a really long water carry. There's surprisingly not a lot of water. Um, and so it's about 30 miles from the start until you cross under I-75. And that's kind of like, we made it type of thing.
Now, is that Alligator Alley that you're passing over?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I-75 goes east and west across Florida. Yep.
Right.
Alligator Alley.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to drive it all the time,
Uh-huh.
driving from Fort Myers over to West Palm to go jump or
Yeah.
dive.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you have 30 miles of some of the roughest and hardest trail there is. And you get to the end of that and you're exhausted and you're at an I-75 rest stop with like vending machines and picnic tables. They've got like those ice cream vending machines and everything like that. You're just like, this is wonderful. And yeah, it's the most beautiful rest area I've ever seen in my life.
Do you have a
Oh,
framed photo of this rest
right,
stop?
right.
The
Yeah,
vending machine on the wall.
and then so that was a couple days, and he was able to then meet up with me, and he spent about a week on the trail with me, and that was nice. And then in the meantime, there was somebody else walking or hiking the trail at the same time that we're just like, we're friends now because we're going the same direction at the same speed. So we're best friends now.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, what an
We've got
experience you're sharing.
right, exactly. We're in this together. Sometimes also it's more efficient to share, like if you're getting a hotel room once a week in town, it's easier to and cheaper to share a room.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even just comparing notes and figuring out, okay, where's the nearest grocery store and how are we going to get there? And it's
Mm-hmm.
nice having another brain to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
So yeah, it's perfectly fine and perfectly normal to hike 100% by yourself, but man, is it nice to have somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also somebody else that's in the same frame of mind and doing the same thing as you. Because like if you take along a buddy from home or a significant other, they might not be on the same page or have the same goals as you or want to stick it out to the end or anything like that. But
Uh-huh.
somebody who's already out there, heck yeah, they're already,
Yeah,
they're
they're
in the same.
committed. They're doing
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. You just have to find someone who kind of walks the same speed.
So you were tromping through the Everglades and swamps. You're getting up to Alligator Alley. Are you passing by snakes, alligators?
Yeah. The nice thing is let me talk about time frame. We typically hike or do a through hike starting around the beginning of January, and most people like to finish up by the end of March.
Uh-huh.
And this is for many, many different reasons. One, you get out of hunting season. There's a couple hunting seasons in the fall that you don't really want to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, it's winter, so it's not stupidly hot. There's not as many mosquitoes, if any.
Right.
So there's all these things. There's a really good reason we do a lot in the winter in Florida. But also the alligators are boring in the wintertime. They won't move for anything. So yeah, you see them all over the place, but you just kind of, give them a wide berth. You walk around them and they barely blink at you.
Okay, so I've heard about all these pythons in the
Mhm.
Everglades and crocodiles coming in. Did you see Any pythons try to eat a crocodile?
No, a lot of little alligators. They're kind of everywhere. A couple big ones that you're just like, whoa, you're scary looking, but I know you're asleep for the winter pretty much.
Right.
You're on hibernation, just sit around in lounge mode basically. Uh, Snakes, yeah, decent number of little, the boring kind. A couple not so boring kinds.
Like
Saw a
what?
few of them. What was it like? I'm horrible at knowing all the snake names. I really should know, but I just know what they look like. Like, okay, this one's black. This one has black with the white stomach. This one's with and the what's the rhyme with the different stripes? Red touches black. You're okay, Jack. Yellow touch. Red touches yellow. Kill a fellow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I got that one. That's but I didn't see any of those, the red and yellow, black striped ones. Again, I'm absolutely horrible with names. But the cottonmouth and some other bad ones. I saw a couple. But yeah, you it's like slap the water or slap the ground with your tracking pole and try, hopefully you scare them away, and usually you do. They don't want to mess with anybody.
Right.
They just want to do their thing. They're not like, ooh, humans, yum yum yum. No,
Right.
they're
Exactly. It's kind of like sharks,
yeah,
they're
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Did you carry like any anti-venom with you or
No, just because that's
just
kind of
one
tough.
more thing?
I think that's type of around here that needs to be refrigerated,
Okay.
and they have little snake bite kits, but that's just basically more of a syringe type thing to suck it out.
Mhm.
So you have a better chance. It doesn't get it all out, but you have a better chance.
Okay.
No, I just was careful, kept an eye out, and whenever I hike, I just try and make a lot of noise. So if I'm making a lot of noise the whole time, I'm going to scare off anything that I'm coming up to.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which that's great for no matter where you're hiking, is just make a lot of noise. You
Right.
know,
Okay. All right. Good to
who
know.
trying to be sneaky from?
So you made it to the rest stop. You got your
hmm
ice cream,
uh-huh.
and then where'd you go?
And then it goes through the Seminole Tribe of Florida Indian Reservation. So you go through that tribal reservation, and we have to get a special permit. That's all through the Florida Trail Association, and then we fill out a form that's submitted to the tribe, and they, in order to get permission to walk over their land. And they're always super super nice, super welcoming and everything. They just want the paperwork for a waiver of liability type of thing. I get
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're always super super nice and helpful as well. And then we go through there, and then we go through the sugarcane fields, and that is hot and dry. And the sugarcane have tons of water, but because of agricultural runoff and some of the plant food that they use, we can't drink any of the water around there.
Oh no.
Right. So it's a long stretch where we have to rely on water caches. So a lot of the local people who help out with the Florida Trail, they will put pile of gallon jugs of water at certain spots. And on the Facebook group, we have a big spreadsheet that lists where everything is, where all those water caches are.
Okay.
And so it's kind of everybody's job to keep track of the spreadsheet so that they know if the water's running low and they have to refill. So like if I come across a place and I take, a half a gallon, I mark on the spreadsheet online that, I took a half gallon and this is how much is left and all that. So yeah, and through the sugarcane fields, we have no choice but to completely rely on other people for water because there's just nothing that we could scoop up and filter around.
Could that
Yeah.
change if they changed their agricultural practices, if they used a different
Uh,
fertilizer or an organic?
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, all the science behind that.
Sure.
Uh, but even if water is still really scarce down there.
Yeah.
So it's literally the only water you see is right underneath the sugar cane. And
Okay.
then the canals around there, all the all the water from the sugarcane fields all run into the canals.
Mm-hmm.
So all the same water pretty much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we have a fantastic network of trail angels, we call them.
Yeah.
And they help us out. They take care of all the piles of water, and it's great. And then let's see, that's the sugarcane fields, and then we get up to Lake Okeechobee, and we go around Lake Okeechobee. You can either go east around the lake or west around the lake.
Okay.
And I went west around the lake because there was a bunch of construction on the eastern side that would have been really difficult to deal with. So pretty much everyone my year went west around the lake.
Okay. What
Yeah.
was what was the lake like?
Um, it, it- we were walking up on the dikes around the lake, which is kind of neat in some spots because you get this great view of the lake and it's huge. It's huge lake. Um, but most of the time we can't see the lake. We're just kind of walking through, raised mat like a hill. Like there's these dikes. We're
Oh,
walking on top of the dikes, and that's all we see is.
bummer.
So,
Would that change if you went the other way around the lake? Would you have a better view, do you think?
kind of, but it's pretty similar.
Okay.
The dikes that are keeping out or keeping in the water are really far away from the lake itself because the levels of the lake are really low.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just where the dike and probably the water level used to be is really far away from the actual, lake and water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so and
Yeah.
then after I get around Lake Okeechobee, then it's into some of the Kissimmee Prairie areas, and then you can go either east or west around Orlando. And I went east around Orlando because it took me closer to friends and family, closer to it'll pass by my house in DeLand.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And also, if you go west around Orlando, there's a lot more road walks. And east around Orlando has a lot more, wooded areas and pretty trail. So, and then you get a lot more of the Ocala National Forest if you go that direction as well. So, yeah, and then into the Ocala National Forest, and that place is amazing,
It's
absolutely gorgeous.
beautiful. I
Yeah,
love that
some
national
crazy
forest.
hiking through there. Yep. Then we go from worrying about alligators to worrying about bears.
Did you have bear spray on you or anything?
No, the nice thing is in Florida we have small black bears. They're not that bad.
Okay.
They're not out. Let's see, like the Continental Divide Trail where you have like grizzlies and the big brown bears. Yeah, you really should have bear spray out there.
Mm-hmm.
But in Florida, our tiny black bears, not that big a deal.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
So you made it to the
but the only
national forest. Did you see a bear?
I did not. I did not see any bears out there. I thought like I heard one in a bush, but it could have been, it could have been something else. Who knows? Could have been a deer just rustling,
No,
but
I was probably a bear. You
yeah,
were
definitely
right.
a
Yeah,
bear.
yeah.
Narrowly escaped with my life.
That's right. You ninja. So
Yeah.
after your big escape from the bear, then
Then we get up into North Florida, the halfway point, going across the Panhandle,
Insane.
the other half.
This is insane. This is
Right?
insane. Listeners, go look at this map and you're going to be like, whoa, you would think she made it.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime I try and describe the Florida Trail to people, like I use like my hand. You know how like with
Yeah.
Michigan,
Oh,
it's
totally. Right. I
oh,
use my hand all the time.
yeah,
Hmm.
you point on the hand where you live. Well, I do that with Florida too. And then so I try to describe, I'm like, okay, you walk all the way to the top. And then when you get to the top, you're only halfway because you have to go all, and that's when like I see like a light bulb go off in their head, like, oh yeah, I forgot. Florida's
Right.
wide, not just
Florida's
long.
long and it's huge.
And so yeah, once you get to that top part and you make the big, we call it the big left turn. You get to the top of Florida and make a big left turn, and then you're just heading west the whole time, and getting just really pretty forests, Apalachicola,
Yeah.
walking along the Swanee River. There's so many cool rivers up there, and just yeah, the hiking is beautiful.
Some of my
And
favorite
then we get
oysters come from
into
there. The Apalachicola
oh,
oysters.
yep. We were
Yeah.
in that St. Mark's area, and that's beautiful. Being able to walk through the St. Mark's, the seashore area, and the lighthouse, and all that. Yeah, and then we get closer to Eglin Air Force Base, and we actually hike straight through the top portion of Eglin Air Force Base, and that's pretty weird. We have to like fill out a form online like the day or two before we get there, and yeah, you just kind of like, because there's certain parts of the actual base, like the base is huge. It takes up a lot of acres of just land. It's not like there's buildings everywhere. It's just tons and tons of land, and people can go out there and get hunting permits and all that. So we have to fill out online the day or two before, just saying, hey, we're walking through for hiking. This is my, my name, my driver's license, all that kind of stuff. So they know we're there. Well, also so that we know which sections are closed that day because they're going to be dropping bombs on it.
Whoa.
Yeah, you don't want to hike through like, live ordnance areas.
So you narrowly escape the alligators. You survive the bear encounter, and then
And
you
there
almost
were
got
bombs.
bombed.
Thank you for making me sound interesting. Thank you.
You're extremely interesting.
So we're walking through the Air Force Base, and it is, like I said, it is just weird knowing that okay, that area is closed. I'm like, but I'm only like the next area over. Like it's just, like I hope their accuracy is
Right?
good.
Yeah, like, how long have you been doing this? Is this your first time? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. No one's gonna be walking over there.
And there's all these signs like around saying if you see an unexploded ordnance or whatever on the ground, do not touch it, but tie some sort of flag or ribbon to a tree so that off the trail, so that when we go and look for it, we know. I'm like, what? I'm not tying a piece of ribbon.
Did you tie any ribbon?
No, I didn't see any.
Okay,
No.
all right.
No, I saw one, but it already had a ribbon. So
Okay, all right. Oh, hey,
already.
So you narrowly escaped the bombs.
After Eglin Air Force Base, then it's only about a week and a half until the end. The end is so pretty because you go over the bridge to the outer islands of Pensacola Beach, and you're walking pretty much along the beach for like 3 or 4 days, depending on how long you want it to take. Some people can do it in like two days, and they're done. Yeah. And I'm like, but there's so many cool beach bars. Like, let's just do like 3 miles today. then we'll go to Margaritaville, and then maybe we'll do 7 miles tomorrow, and then we'll go to, I don't know, Captain Jack's Tiki Bar or whatever it's called.
That sounds like my kind of hike. I'm in.
Right? But it's a
Right?
great celebration. You're like, oh my God, I've just spent like 3 months hiking my butt off. I want a beach bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
that was a fantastic way to end the trail, was, on the beach with rum.
Oh, yeah. And then you're going to be at this bar and be like, well, let me tell you how I got here. Let me tell you a
I walked
story.
here.
You know what?
Where
From the
are you
Everglades.
from? Miami. How'd you get here? Walked.
Yeah, do you have a designated driver? No, I'm still, I'm walking.
Fine, I'll walk home.
I mean, I would have loved to be at that bar and meeting you. I mean,
Oh yeah.
isn't
Yeah,
that quintessential?
there were some confused locals drinking there going, I'm sorry, what? You what? You walked how far to get here? Like 1,100 miles. I only have 3 left.
that's,
Yeah.
that's pretty fantastic. I mean, now that's the way to end a through hike, you
Yeah.
know?
And also, so I ended the through hike on my birthday,
Oh,
right?
sweet,
Yeah.
dude.
It was pretty awesome. And so therefore the last couple days, the last week of hiking, one, yeah, beach bars are great, but two, I was like, no, I gotta slow down because I want to end right on my birthday.
Yeah.
And so that was a couple days leading up to it, was a fun little pre-birthday celebration. And then the night before, slept on the beach, woke up on the beach, and just me and my sleeping bag, and on the beach, and woke up and went, it's my birthday, I have 3 miles left and I'm done. And I just woke up on the beach.
Cool.
It was so cool. It was such an amazing moment of, of just like, all right, this is a perfect day. This is a perfect day.
Okay, what birthday was it?
That was like, I was 2019, so I was 38.
38. What a way
Uh,
to bring in 38 and to be doing this before the pandemic. Well done on the
right.
planning side of things too.
Yeah, little did we know.
Right? My goodness.
Yeah.
So you finished on your birthday and
Mhm.
then what'd you do? How'd you celebrate?
Then one of the guys who was hiking like near me, his dad was going to be picking him up at the end. I'm like, sweet, I got a ride. I don't have to call an Uber to Fort Pickens State Park gift shop.
Right.
Oh, side note, yes, the Florida Trail exits through the gift shop.
That's hilarious. Now that's quintessential Florida. I mean,
Oh, it's so
that's
Florida.
so
It's so
Florida.
because yeah, the northern terminus of the trail is at Fort Pickens, and it's pretty much the farthest you can go on that Pensacola Beach island. And so you end at the fort, and then you turn around and go, really? Yeah, there's a gift shop here. Okay. So then like we go inside the gift shop because there's like a logbook, and everyone who finishes the trail signs
Mhm.
it. And so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So
But
did you
yeah,
buy a
yeah.
shot glass, a plate, magnet?
What did I get? I forget. I think I got like a sticker or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
You gotta buy something. Just walked 1,100 miles to get there. So
It's the
yeah,
coolest sticker
then
you own.
the other guy, his dad picked us up, and then we stayed at the little campground there that night. And then the next morning, he took me to. I just went to the Enterprise rental car place and got a rental car and drove back to Orlando.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done. All right. Like Forrest Gump style. I'm tired. I'm gonna go home now.
Wow. I mean, what an experience. I mean, truly, what an experience and something you did for you. This was
Mm-hmm.
not someone else who put that on you. You you
Right.
you did it. Uh you stepped into the unknown, the Florida unknown. This is
There's quite a bit of unknown out there. Most people don't know about the middle of Florida. It's interesting.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, Florida's a very interesting state. I mean, I lived there for 7 years and
Mhm.
yeah, you meet all sorts of people in Florida. Some people that'll be your best
Yeah.
friends for life, and some people you're just like,
Hmm.
yeah, not so. I'm just gonna keep on moving.
Yeah. And most people think of Florida as like the beaches or Disney World.
Right,
That
right.
that's all people know about. Like if you're not from Florida and never been there, you just know beaches and Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't realize, we have, all these different national forests and national
Mm-hmm.
parks
Mm-hmm.
and amazing, amazing wilderness. You don't picture big, huge forests when you think of Florida. And
Yeah.
so it's neat. I enjoy, talking to people about the Florida Trail, uh, telling them, there are other things to do in Florida.
Oh, absolutely.
Springs. Oh my God, we have so many springs. All the different natural springs are beautiful. Uh, yeah,
There,
yeah.
and the colors that you see.
Oh my
There's
God.
Florida just has some of my just favorite variety of colors because I
Hmm.
mean, in the summertime you get the storms, and the winter is not so stormy.
Yeah,
But when you do get those dark clouds mixed in with that green in the forest, it's just like this beautiful
yeah.
combination. And then the colors coming up from the spring, the teals, the blues. It's just a delight for the eyes. Where I'm like, forget the theme park. Go pay the $5 entrance fee for your carload and
Yeah, yeah.
go.
I go even now. I go to random little hikes nearby, and yeah, there's so many undiscovered little, yeah, maybe a 2 mile loop hike through this palm tree scrub or whatnot. There's just these little hikes all over. There's so many. Oh my gosh.
Mhm, mhm.
One website that's amazing that I use is called Florida Hikes, floridahikes.com.
Yeah.
And it is my favorite. The girl who runs the website, she also does a lot of work with the Florida Trail and keeping the information about the Florida Trail completely up to date and current. And she runs Florida Hikes. And wow, it's such a great resource in that whatever kind of hike, whatever, you can search by map, you can search by, how long you want to like hike or what kind of hiking. Amazing write-ups. And I use that website all the time just to find a little local hike. If
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to go out and do like 4 miles or a little 2 mile, or I just want to go sit on a bench and stare at the water,
Mhm, mhm.
so it's been so great. But yeah, because the Florida Trail is, it's if you want to through hike it, it's 1,100 miles long, but it's a series of about 1,500 miles of trail for just the Florida Trail, because it goes, like I said, it goes the other way around Orlando and it goes the other way around Lake Okeechobee. So
Right.
you add all those up and it's a bit more. But then there's a gazillion other trails in Florida that are also absolutely fantastic, besides just the main big one.
Right, right. Now, let's let's just get into some logistics here. So if someone is inspired by your story, they want to hike the Florida Trail, about how far in advance should they start planning, getting permits? Uh, I guess how long did it take you from I'm going to do this before you did it?
Um, Well, for me, I had been wanting to do it for years. So, I'd been had it in the back of my brain, and I had already done the Appalachian Trail the year before, so I had most of my gear, ready to go. There
Hmm.
was just a few little changes that I needed to make for, weather and that kind of thing. But most people, I say, if you have the basic gear, the basic knowledge and everything like that, it doesn't take very long. You can do all your permits and everything in like 2 weeks beforehand. You don't need months and months and months of preparation.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, a lot of the permits that you have to do, you do them when you get there. You don't have to do them ahead of time,
Okay.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty much just, get your Florida Trail Association membership. And that, for the most part, covers your whole trip, your whole through hike. Uh, and yeah, that's about it. Like, there's not too much crazy planning except for gear. That's it. Gear is your biggest thing that you have to spend a bit of time researching, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work. Clothes, shoes. Yeah, that takes everyone a little while to figure out, and that's just research. I mean, there's no tried and true. You have to have this particular list of things.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, well, what do you want? How do you like to hike? How do you like to camp? What makes you comfortable?
What
And
What are your favorite gear options to have in your bag for this hike particularly?
yeah, let's see. I like to stay as lightweight as possible. I find it's a lot easier to hike with no weight on your back than it is 50 pounds on your back. So
Hmm.
the closer you can get to very, very lightweight, the better. But of course, in order to be super lightweight, you have to make sacrifices. Sometimes you're going to be sacrificing comfort or luxury items.
Hmm.
You can't bring your copy of War and Peace with you. You're gonna have to, you have to leave some of the things at home. Also, sometimes the stuff that's durable and super ultra lightweight is really expensive, and so you just have to make those compromises on what you like. I like a super ultra light pack. But my tent, I like something a bit more comfortable. So I have, my tent is a bit heavier than other people's, but it's what I like, and it's set up exactly how I like it and everything. Um, yeah, yeah. Same with my sleeping bag and my clothes. Those are, I go a little heavier on those, but I go lightweight on a lot of other things.
Hmm.
So
So what about in the evening when you're by yourself, you're not hiking? What are you doing for fun if no one's around to talk to?
sleeping.
Okay.
Like, doing for fun.
I
No,
mean, are you journaling or I mean,
okay. I know a lot of people do journal or maybe they'll blog or maybe they're filming some video and they edit like a YouTube episode later. But then there's also a lot of us who have really, really good intentions. And we're like, yes, I'm going to do this. And last year I was like, I'm going to learn Spanish while I'm hiking. I've got 12 hours a day of just listening to whatever. I'm going to learn. Yeah, I didn't, nothing. Nope. I didn't even start. So and but I had a couple audiobooks and I had a couple like I had an MP3 player, an old MP3 player
yeah,
that so that I wouldn't waste my phone battery.
sure.
So I separate. So I had my audiobooks and music and everything like that. A bunch of podcasts. I had a ton of podcasts. I was going through those left and right. And yeah, so you listen to them during the day and then you have your favorite either audiobook or podcast, you put that on and that helps you go to sleep.
Yep. Mhm.
That's about it for me. I mean, sometimes you just sit around and stare at the dirt. I don't know. But really, there's just either there's so much to do with chores, like, oh, I'm gonna go get water, I'm gonna filter water, and then I'm gonna cook dinner, and then get changed. Oh, there's a hole in my tent that I have to sew up, and oh, I really need to put some tape on that part of my pack. It's or whatever. There's
Right.
just always so many chores and things to do that when you're finally done for the night, you're exhausted and you
Right.
just go right to sleep. So
Okay.
the
Now,
people who blog and podcast and video interview, oh, more power to them. But I don't know how they find time.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Now, what about the water situation? So are you bringing a life straw? Are you bringing a water bottle with a filter, like a filter on it? Like,
Yeah, and the most common and most people use is Sawyer squeeze. So Sawyer is a little tube thing that you screw onto the top of any like smart water bottle, any kind of bottle with that size top,
uh-huh.
and you just screw it. You just fill up your smart water bottle with dirty water. You screw the Sawyer squeeze on the top, you squeeze it through into a clean bottle, or you can drink right out of it.
Okay.
The light straw, not very popular because it's not very efficient. It's difficult to use, but there's a couple different brands out there that people like, but Sawyer is the most popular one.
Okay.
And smart water bottles, we've just gravitated towards that particular bottle because it's long and skinny and it fits nice in our packs. The plastic is squeezable enough that we can squeeze it to force the water through the filter, but
Uh-huh.
it's not so squeezable that the plastic like breaks and gets all crinkly or anything like that. So I don't know what it is about hikers, but we have our water bottle preferences.
Yeah. So what are you using to make sure that you're staying on the trail? Do you have a compass, paper maps, an app?
Yeah, yeah, the trail is pretty well marked with the paint on the trees. They're called blazes, and it's just like a little rectangle of paint on each of the trees. And yeah, about every tenth of a mile, you'll see one, and you're on the right track. But we also have an app for our phone called Gut Hooks, and Gut Hooks makes uh, an app for all the trails. So Florida Trail, Appalachian Trail, they all have gut hooks. And it's a series of maps, elevation, waypoints, here's where water is, here's where a flat spot is to put your tent, here's where a trailhead is so you can get into town. All of that's listed. I mean, it's an insane amount of information. And then as you go along, people can write comments on each of them, which are especially helpful for water sources. Because if the water source has gone dry, part of the year this water source is great, but the other half of the year this water source doesn't exist. That's very helpful information to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you don't rely on water that's not there when you get there. So yeah, we have the Gut Hooks app, and we have paper maps. I usually will bring a section or two at a time, just in case everything else dies. At least I have a map. But yeah, other than that, nothing too crazy. We have a compass, but only because it's part of this little whistle thing I have.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, what about charging your phone? I mean, if you're going through these big sections where you're not seeing people,
Yeah.
how are you charging your phone? Do you have a solar charger?
Our typical week is, we go into town about once a week. So when we go into town and we shower, laundry, maybe stay at a hotel or hostel or a nicer campground, and then that's when you get all your charging done. But we have like a battery pack, external battery pack.
Mhm.
I use the Anchor 20,000 milliamp hours, and I found that the 20,000 works really well for that week goal. So
Mhm.
if you're out for a week, I can get to about 4 to 5 full phone charges off of that battery. and that's plenty, because most of the time I'm keeping my phone in airplane mode. The app that I was talking about on the phone, runs offline, so it's GPS based, and so you don't need any cell phone signal to
Great.
use that app, which is very, very, very helpful. So yeah, so we just use battery pack, and then every single plug you find in town, you're like,
Uh-huh,
oh, when I
uh-huh.
got to that I-75 rest stop with the the vending machines and stuff,
Yeah.
I I was like, I really want to charge my battery. So I'm like looking behind the vending machines, looking for an empty plug, empty outlet. Found
Uh-huh.
one, so I plug in my external battery, and it's charging over there, and I'm over at the other vending machines, like just cleaning them out of snacks and sodas, and anyway, I think it was charging there for like a half hour or something. I go and check on it to see how far along, and it's gone. Somebody had stolen my battery pack while I was rummaging in the vending machines.
No.
So luckily the friend of mine who I started that morning of, like, he was coming back. So I messaged him, I think at like, I don't know, midnight, going, help. Okay, I need you to go to Walmart. I need you to buy me this exact battery pack. I need it. And could you charge it for me as well? Okay, see you in the morning. Bye. Again, luckily I was off of I-75. Luckily he was meeting me the next day. All those things where I was just, if I was gonna get my battery pack stolen, that was probably the best time for it to happen. But I
Wow.
was just like, come on, I'm on like day 3 or 4 of my whole
Oh,
trip. Like that's
wow.
all. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I can't believe it. You know, you found your magical
Yeah.
vending machine and your battery
Yeah.
pack gets stolen. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. A day like 3 or 4 of the whole trip, and I was like, "Yay, this is fun! Oh my god, this is oh man,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to have to deal with getting a replacement." And I was just, then I
Well,
was pissed off.
you're a good problem solver. You solve the problem and
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. Now, how many miles a day were you hiking? When you weren't at tiki bars.
Right. That was a different, yeah.
Yeah.
It depended on the terrain, some places where, like up in the Panhandle, where there was a lot of hurricane damage from the previous year, that was slow going. We were walking very, very slowly because we were just having to get over trees and under vines, and it was a mess. But some places, down in the down south, like the sugarcane fields and everything, we're trucking, we're making good miles. So yeah, some days, you're only going to do a 10 or 12 mile day, and that's going to wipe you out. And some days you're doing 25 to 30 and no problem.
Wow.
And then also, you get conditioned as well. So towards the end of the hike, I was doing a lot more miles than I did towards the beginning because
Mhm.
of, just being used to it. Your body, your muscles are developing, everything. Yeah. So,
So, how much money did you have to budget to do this?
um, for pretty much any through hike, most people say a good rule of thumb is about 1,000 a month. And that doesn't include the gear you bought beforehand.
Sure.
This is just, groceries, hostels, hotels, maybe you need Ubers or taxi or replacing gear. But a good rule of thumb is about 1,000 a month. And I would say, yeah, that's a good rule of thumb to stick to. You can do it for much less. You can do it for anywhere from like 500 to 700 a month, but it's tough, especially if you get into those situations of like, I need food.
Right.
Uh, the nearest town is, 20 miles down this highway. So, okay, I have to, figure out how to get there. So sometimes it's easier just to call an Uber
Right.
than to spend valuable time or energy, or, you don't want to walk what we call empty miles. Empty miles are ones that aren't on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Empty calories, they don't count. So you don't want to be spending all that extra energy
Mm-hmm.
in town. So you're just like, you know what? Let me see if there's Uber in this area. If not, let's see if I can find a shuttle service or something like that. So those type of expenses come up, and you don't want to be super high and dry.
Uh-huh.
And that's not exactly a good place to be running out of money on the
Mm-hmm.
trail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, good rule of thumb is about 1,000 a month.
Yeah. So how did you prepare um physical wise for this hike? Did you have an exercise plan? What did you do to prepare physically, and then also what did you do to prepare mentally for this hike?
Yeah. So physically, I didn't really prepare too much. Um, Mostly because I wasn't gung ho about doing 20 or 30 miles every single day. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going for any records or even needing to go that fast. I'm like, oh, okay, if I do 10, 15 average, I'm fine with that. So therefore I didn't need to super duper physically prepare. The best way to prepare for walking 1,100 miles is to go and walk 1,100 miles. Um, you know, and yeah, so if you're not in a super hurry, like if I started January 8th and I finished March 28th, which ended up being 80 days. But I had a big, lot of gap in the middle. When I was in Orlando, I had a friend from New Zealand visiting that, I took a couple days off the trail. But so that's all included in that 80 days.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, so if you're not in that kind of a hurry, like if you're okay with, walking the whole thing in 80, 90 days, and then don't worry too much about preparing physically. Just take it slow to begin with, and yeah, your legs will get there. Your
Right.
legs will a little, what's the word I'm looking for, beef up, get conditioned, I don't know. um we just call them trail legs when my trail legs kick in. And
Right.
it's a light switch. All of a sudden one day you realize that you're not having any issues with just walking as far as you need to that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trail legs have kicked in. But as far as mentally, yeah, mentally is, I think as long as you're prepared, you have a lot of good information stored away in your brain. Having enough money also helps mentally because you're not worrying and stressed about that. You've
Mm-hmm.
already, have a budget. You're going to stick to the budget. You have it saved up. You have some for emergencies, and that all that contributes to a good mentality, because then there's nothing to worry about other than the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but mentally, just you figure it out what works for you. Some
Mm-hmm.
people like the solitude and hike without music. Some people have to have music nonstop or else they go insane. Some people go a little crazy if they don't see other hikers or other people for a while. That'll drive anybody bonkers,
Mm-hmm.
being completely 100% alone for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've learned that during COVID.
Right. Right.
you know,
Yeah.
People being isolated are getting a little screwy.
Uh-huh.
But at least with COVID, we have technology to reach out to other people in the outside world. There's quite a bit of the Florida Trail that has zero cell phone signal, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's just you and the squirrels.
Right. Now, I know on the Appalachian Trail, many people will ship packages to themselves at different post offices. Were you doing the same on the Florida Trail?
um, I I did not on the Florida Trail, but then again, I also didn't really on the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail.
Okay. All right.
It's just not my thing, mostly because I'm what I want to eat is very based on my mood. Like
Yeah.
I get cravings like crazy. So if I'm getting to a town and I go to the post office and pick up my box, I'm going to look inside and be like, well, this is what I wanted to eat 2 months ago. But now I hate it with a passion. I cannot eat one more tortilla, or I don't know, please, no beef jerky. Oh my God, like all those things. And so I personally enjoy going through a town, going into the grocery store and going, okay, what am I hungry for now? What's something new and creative I can do to get me excited and, about food and all that.
What are some of your favorite meals that you had on the trail?
Oh, okay. So I make ramen, just normal, the packaged cheapy ramen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with all the extra water in the ramen, so instead of making a soup, I put stovetop stuffing in, and the stovetop stuffing soaks up the ramen water.
Oh, ho.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good.
Oh.
And then I take a Spam single and squish it up and put that in there. So ramen, stovetop, and Spam in a cup.
I have read a lot of recipes out there. I have a cookbook problem, and I have not come across this one.
No, if you want good recipes, if you want creativity, thinking outside the box, and how to live off of dollar store and gas. I have resupplied for an entire week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of a gas station.
Wow.
You get some creativity skills out here. Like you have to be 100% all the time thinking outside the box. Like, okay, what can I do with this? If I take some of this peanut butter over here and some of that over there, mix it together. Yeah, you get creative.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the worst meal that you had?
I would say anything in the first 2 weeks. For some reason, the first 2 weeks, I can't stomach food. Your body just starts, I don't know, protesting and yeah, the first 2 weeks I can't eat. Everything tastes horrible. I hate life, everything. So once you get past that, then it's like I love everything. I love food. I must eat all the food. I once walked into this town and I went to a sports bar, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, actual food. I'm going to have a little rum and Coke and I'm going to sit here and watch TV. I haven't seen a TV in weeks.
Yeah.
And so I order like a basket of mozzarella sticks and I eat all that. And then my plate of burger and fries come out and I eat all that. And then I was like, man, those mozzarella sticks were good. I'll take another basket. So I got another basket of mozzarella sticks and I ate all that. And then I was still hungry. And so I got a big plate of loaded nachos, finished all that. And then, and then I kind of wanted more mozzarella sticks, to tell you the truth. But the lady behind the bar was just like, her eyes were, she was just looking at me like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah, I'll take my check. I'll go. Yeah, there's a thing called hiker hunger, and it is no joke. It is so severe. Once that kicks in, there's no possible way to eat enough. We're burning so many calories that typically we're going to try and eat anywhere between 4,000 and 8,000 calories a day, depending on.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How do you even bring enough food with you to eat that?
That's when it starts getting hard. Yeah. Like I said, the first couple of weeks when you aren't hungry, you're dropping weight, like it's falling off. Before my PCT hike, I purposely gained 15 pounds ahead of time just so that I would have something to lose those first few weeks.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I'm there with a big, large Domino's pizza. My mom's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm training. I'm preparing. But yeah, the first couple of weeks, all that weight just like falls off. You cannot like think of food. It's yeah. And so, but after that initial couple weeks, then the hiker hunger kicks in, and it's really difficult to get enough food. You just keep eating and eating and eating. We destroy Chinese buffets. Oh my god. Yeah, buffets, they hate us. Oh my god.
Oh, they're like, oh no, we're closed. We're closed. Turn the sign around. The hikers are coming.
No. I know the sign says all you can eat, but you're limited to 3 trips and then you gotta go. Yeah. And so fantastic. What's my favorite food and what's my least favorite food depends on the day. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I've done it before where I've walked into a gas station and been like, "Do you have any bananas? Banana? I just want one. I need a banana. I'm sorry. Oh my god, I'm craving bananas."
Oh,
and of course, you're like, that's your body telling you, like, "Oh, you're low on potassium, dear."
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know we've been talking for a while. Just curious, what would you say are your top tips for people thinking about doing the Florida hike?
Definitely join the Facebook groups. There are amazing people there with lots of great information. All of them are so helpful. You know, they will drive hours and hours out of their way just to like pick you up and help you out. So definitely join the Facebook groups. Because they're the most amazing family of people I've ever met. What else? Gut Hooks, the app on your phone. Oh my gosh, I think it's like $30, which is crazy for an app. You know, we're not used to paying that much.
Right? No.
Any app.
Right. But you're like, oh, it costs more than $1. Oh my goodness.
$1, right? So people see it and they go, $30 for an app, and then 2 days after using it, they're like, I would pay 5 times that much. Oh my gosh, here, just take all of my money. It's the most amazing thing. And yeah, I would never even consider doing a long distance trail without using Gut Hooks. It's invaluable.
Yeah. And just curious too, on the trail, are there any accessible sections? Maybe if someone's in a wheelchair and they want to do part of the hike?
Trying to think. I mean, there's quite a few trailheads that, you know, you can go in with ramps out onto, especially docks if it's near like lakes and stuff like that. Off the top of my head, you're not going to get very far on the trail itself, but the areas around the trailheads, the scenic areas, the pretty areas, yeah, those are going to be nice and easy, and they have accessible areas.
Okay. All right.
The trail itself, not as much, but that would be great to look up on floridahikes.com because she does list all that information. So it might not be the Florida Trail, but it might be another little local hike that would work well.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. My gosh, this has just been wonderful. I feel like I was on the hike with you at different sections. I could almost taste your rum at the tiki bar.
Right? That was glorious. Yeah, I love talking about the Florida Trail because not many people know about it. They know the big ones, the Appalachian Trail and all that, but they don't know about the one that's right here in Central Florida, and also not just the Florida Trail, but also Florida hiking and Florida outdoor activities. I love talking to people and educating them on what you can do right here in your backyard. So it's beautiful. I love it. I love it so much.
Anytime I hear about people going to Orlando, I'm like, skip Disney. Don't go.
And the thing is, I'm a huge Disney fan. I love Disney.
Okay,
but I still, come on, there's other things to do, people. Come on.
Yeah,
you can do
go
other
to Blue
things.
Springs. Go rent a kayak. Right. Like, go.
much
It's
kayaking.
so pretty. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I love Florida wilderness.
Yeah.
It's a happy place. It's my
It's so
happy
fun.
place.
It's gorgeous here. Yeah, you can stay away from the beaches in Disney if you want, and you still have plenty to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming, sharing your story,
Oh
and we're
yeah,
gonna
thank you
have
for having me.
yeah,
Good
absolutely.
seeing you after a decade.
Right, I know. It just life's funny that way, huh?
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
it, hop on over, come over to Oregon, say what's up.
Will
Uh,
do.
I'm in Bend, Oregon, and we got plenty to do here, mountains and rivers, etc. But just really, just really love seeing you and hearing your voice and hearing your story and hearing your passion, and it just ignites so much love in
Yeah,
my heart, and just thank you for sharing.
yeah, yeah. When you reached out and was like, "Do you have any adventure you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm on."
Yeah,
No problem. I could talk about the Florida Trail all day.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for listening to Experiences You Should Have podcast. We have many other hiking episodes out there, like hiking the Appalachian Trail, hiking the Te Araroa. A PCT will be coming out soon. So just be watching for new episodes. We've also got an episode of hiking to Havasupai Falls, and more. So definitely check out the podcast, go back in time. We've got some great content out for you. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please click that subscribe button. And if you are listening on an Apple iPhone on that purple podcast app, if you could kindly click on that and click 5 stars, and please leave a note about what you love about this podcast. Also, this is an indie podcast, so please tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell somebody about this podcast. Hit subscribe and get them going so they can plan their next adventure. I know we've been in some weird years, but I'm thinking travel's coming back. I at least I hope that travel is coming back, and you know what? If it's not, then you can at least go get out in the woods and do a through hike and not see people for a bit too. So definitely go back, check out the podcast. There's full show notes on this episode on experiencesyoushouldhave.com. Click on episodes, you'll find the episode right there. And I just hope this keeps on inspiring you to plan, to go big, to try something out. And maybe it's a through hike for 3 months, or maybe it's a through hike for 6 months, or maybe plan that amazing dive trip that you've always wanted to do. You know, what life has taught me is to not wait until retirement to go an adventure. It's really important to take a little time throughout life and go do something really fun or something you've always wanted to do, and to challenge yourself, because it will build you up as a person. It will make you a better worker. You'll learn how to problem solve, work it out, figure it out, and those skills you can apply anywhere in life. So thank you, experience seekers, for listening to the podcast, and until our next adventure.